How are we getting on, folks? Um, Testing 1 2 1 2. Look at I cannot understand what happened last night. I went through the checks before I uploaded it. Everything seemed sound. As soon as I went up on YouTube, God only knows what happened. Really, all I can say is that I'm after doing the checks again. I'm after doing the checks on YouTube, so everything should be all right. I hope you all can hear me now, but if it goes like this again, I'll just end up say doing what I did there today and putting the tips up on my socials, just so that you won't miss out everything else like that. But what a day we had today! Not just for Aintree, but for Wexford as well. We had a serious day in Wexford as well. Just going back to Aintree, we tipped up Tronador at 8-1, ends up winning the 22s. 220 then we tipped up Belfast Banter wins at 9-1. Fiddler on the Roof was the each way next best of the day, and look at it was just he got caught out for a bit of toe, and I thought he might just be lucky enough to stay on for second, but look at realistically he was struggling from the start and just couldn't get things done really the way we wanted it to. But we got back on winning course then again with Fakir Daderi at 3-1 as the nap of the day. Won like the nap as well, realistically. Pink-eyed Pedro, 40-1 each way. I thought we were on the winner turning in. My God, that lad stayed on for days, so he did. But realistically, look at Ruby Walsh said that this Live, Love, Laugh was primed for this particular race, and he said he was on to Willie all the time he was riding to send this lad over to his trip. But ironic enough, he waited till Ruby finished his career before sending him off. But look at 40-1 each way is as good as I think it paid out something like 20-1 for a place. So look at that. That's as good as a winner any day of the week. And Bold Enough then was another each way. Very, very decent, very talented. Just couldn't, I suppose, keep up the relentless gallop that was set. Moving on into Wexford, what we did there today, look at we started off the day a little bit tricky with the nap of the day being a non-runner. That was obviously not ideal. Fortune Street, though, paid as well. Local trainer Paul Nolan got the job done there 10-1. As well as that, then my patron pick of the day, Ornua, 9-2 last night, ended up going off 11-4. I know he only won by a neck, but he won all the same, and I will definitely take that over a loser any day of the week. Now, look at going on to tomorrow. I'm only going to be doing Aintree. I'm going to leave the two lads from Racing Records to cover Dundalk. I absolutely have no hope in Dundalk or even trying to comprehend how to pick winners in Dundalk, but I'm going to leave it to them. That's their expertise, and that's that's where they're good at. So look, we're going to try our hand with Aintree again tomorrow. There's some very, very nice prices in here. Even up to the stage where a couple of ones here are around 100-1. So if you are going to be having a bet, look at be reasonable, be responsible. Just bet what you can afford, and look at hopefully we'll be able to knock the same fun as we did out of it there now today. But the first race off tomorrow, 145. This one here, I will be siding with an Irish Raider here for Johnny Levens, called Whirling Dervish, currently priced in around 10-1. Now this one here, I would be suggesting to go each way. I'm just getting up the notes here. I forgot to get them up before we started up, but yeah, Whirling Dervish, partnered with Ricky Doyle. Very, very talented 3-pound claimer. This Whirling Dervish here comes in with realistic chance more so than anything else. When you look down through the form of, in particular, the last run, when it was a winner in Thurles in absolutely bottomless ground. Now, I know he's not meeting the same conditions here, but the horses he beat that particular day, look at Kelly is cool, but in a very decent run last time out. Sweet Sting, very decent horse for Michael Bowe. Beyond the Law, very, very, I suppose, consistent sort for Mouse Morris. Probably not in recent times, but consistent nonetheless. Master Artist then for John Kiley. Sean says Patine was a very, very talented sort for Shane Ryder back in the day. won a fairly valuable handicap there in Galway. I think it was 2017. And then as well, Snugsborough Benny, who ran a decent race in the Grand National there this year, the Irish Grand National, obviously speaking. But look at the form overall. I suppose when you go down through it further, he won in Kilbeggan on yielding ground, and this is where I'm really taking my notes from. He was 6.5 lengths ahead of Santana Plessis for Gordon Elliott. Now, look at Santana Plessis has been, let's just say, consistent. Hasn't necessarily been lighting up the world, but been fairly consistent nonetheless. Jack Hackett for Dot Love now with Kieran Murphy. Look at all you have to do is look up Jack Hackett's form. He's been absolutely solid as a rock this year, especially on ground that's good or any bit of good in it. Del Campo, not 100% sure much about that lad, but you say nothing for Gavin Cromwell. Now look at this lad's form. This one here, this race in particular was this lad's debut. Now he's gone on to be a fairly prolific sort and a fairly prolific front runner. I'd go to the stage and saying that he's been a bit of a cliff horse for me. I've been following him since literally that day in Kilbeggan. I thought it was very taken performance. I think overall he's got good form to back up everything else, and with the form of the Irish runners in Aintree so far this year, obviously look at all you have to do is look at the form there today. I think every race bar one, I think it was the last race that had an Irish runner, ended up being the winner. I think I'm right in saying that. Yeah, Tronador, Belfast Banter, Fakir Dederi, Live Love Laugh, and then the last one then was the last two, the Mad Outsider in the second last race, and obviously look at Bold Enough ran on for third. But I think at an each way aspect at 10-1, he's got good each way value. He's looks like he's going to be destined enough to be going close. With Ricky Dylan's back claiming £3 off was definitely very, very interesting. I think overall he's got a great each way chance. Now moving on then to the second race of the day, and this one here is going to hold the nap of the day for me. And the people that would know me and would know, I suppose that would have been following me for the past, I suppose you could say the last 5 to 6 months, you could say now at this stage, would know that I have been a very, very big fan of the Real Deal for Ronan McNally, partnered with Dennis O'Regan. This here is a match made in heaven. It's like strawberries and cream, the two of them. Just the way that Dennis O'Regan rides. He's a pure hold-up horse. I'd imagine there's going to be plenty of pace in this one with the likes of Mike Drogo. Ballyadam probably not necessarily going to be making the running, but there's an awful lot of these in here that would be definitely front running sorts. They're going to set off a fairly decent pace. You could say there's going to be a fairly big group of them there around midfield or the back of midfield as well. And parked out the back, I'd imagine Dennis O'Regan is going to be sitting pretty on the Real Deal. Now he's going to leave this challenge late now. Just keep an eye on Real Deal. You're going to be looking at him and you're nearly going to be imagining that he's going to be pulled up. He's going to be so far back. The way this lad stays on is absolutely lethal. He's electric on the run in. The way the ground is going to be is absolutely going to be ideal for him. I think he's going to make a good stamina test of this. The fact that he's 6-1, he's worth an each way at the price he is, but realistically, I think he's going to be the best horse of the race. I highly, highly rate this lad. I can honestly say that this is definitely Ronan McNally's best horse in the yard. He's a very, very talented sort. And just, I suppose, while we're on the subject, we interviewed Ronan McNally there around Christmas time for the Irish Race an hour. I'll be going on more on the point of that now later on in the day. But just Ronan, if you're listening in, I want to wish you and Dennis the very, very best of luck tomorrow. The most important thing is that the horse gets home safe and sound, and Dennis as well on the back of him. But I'm really, really excited to see this lad. I was absolutely screaming and shouting that day in Punchestown. I thought this lad was going to be a nailed-on supreme winner, and I would even say that he'd have the beating of Appreciated as well if the two of them met. I really, really like this lad. I think he's got a great overall talent. He's potentially going to be a 160, 170 rated horse. The fact that he hasn't really been asked a serious test yet, and he's been mixing it in with some fairly decent company, I think he's got a great overall chance, and he should take plenty of beating here. Moving on to the next race then, the 3 o'clock. This one here, realistically now, it's a no-bet race, but for the sake of it and for the sake of the video, I'm going to try and do my living best to try and read exactly how this race is going to pan out. And look at, I know it could be the easiest thing in the world to say, look at, Shishkin is going to win the race, Gumball's going to finish in second, and Fumboli Silvila is going to finish off in third. That's the easy way. I'm not really going to look at it that way. I think the way this race is going to be run, obviously look at Shishkin is going to set off the pace in front. He's probably going to be joined with Gumball. I'd imagine Gumball is going to try and make a good test of Shishkin here. But realistically, Gumball is a bit of a head wrecker. He's a bit of a header more so than anything else. Like he's a pure lunatic. You're looking at him, if you haven't backed, you're looking at him going up to every single jump with your heart in your mouth, thinking, oh my God, this lad's going to try and kill himself here, or he's going to try and kill the jockey on his back coming up to these jumps. He's so quick, and he's so risky as well. You'd be worried, I suppose, putting money on him, but saying that, he is technically the second best of this field, and he's definitely worthy a second favourite here. But the one that I'm looking at here to take him on is this Fumboli de Silvila, currently priced at 16-1 for Venetia Williams and Charlie Deutsch. Now look at his form reads 1-5-1, 2-1-1. So he's been fairly consistent. He's been mixing with some fairly decent company. He doesn't have the capability of beating Shishkin. Just get that out of your head now for a moment. He hasn't a hope of beating Shishkin. If Shishkin stays on his feet, he hasn't a hope of beating him. But that's not to say he won't finish in second. And I suppose if the race plans out the way he is, he's probably going to be held up in maybe third or fourth. I can't imagine him mixing it with Gumball or Shishkin. I think he's just going to be held up and let plod along and just pick off really tired rivals here and just stay on for a bit of place money. But I'd imagine he could finish in second. And then to follow him home, then I would be imagining Gumball to mix off the 1, 2, 3, providing Gumball doesn't turn into a pure lunatic like he usually does and stays on his feet here now tomorrow. But that's the way I see the race planning out. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I think Shishkin's nailed on, but sure, he would be at 1-7. 335, the Stayers hurdle equivalent, the Ryanair. Obviously, look at Time Hill coming in here at favourite. Whether I could understand people backing him because the form definitely does tie up. But for me, he's been very disappointing, and he's been lacking that little bit of progression that we wanted to see in him. Now, in his novice hurdle days, he was electric and he was very, very talented. But he's thrown the dummy out of the pram there now a couple of times. And he's just been a little bit frustrating to follow. Is he worth backing at 5-2? I don't think he is. And I don't think Paisley Park is worth backing either. In my opinion, I think Paisley Park, his day is done. And especially around Aintree as well. I don't think he's going to appreciate Aintree as he would the track in Cheltenham. It's more of a galloping track, Aintree. It's not necessarily a staying track, but I think Paisley Park and Time Hill are just going to find 1-2 good here. And the one that I'm really liking, and the one that's coming in under the radar here a little bit, is Liz Nagar Oscar at 10-1 for Rebecca Curtis and Rachel Blackmore, the woman of the moment. Realistically, Lisnagar Oscar has the form to beat all of this field. Last year's Stayers Hurdle winner in Cheltenham was running a very, very decent race last time, or in this year's renewal as well, when coming down fairly heavily now that particular day. Now look at when I'm going in here, it's all about how this horse has come out of it. Now whether the fall has taken a negative impact on the horse or not, I'm not 100% sure. Sometimes it's the best thing in the world to happen to a horse, to just waking it up and get to respect hurdles a little bit more. I'm hoping that's the case. I think it's very interesting the fact that Rachel Blackmore is on board here now tomorrow. I think 10-1 is very much overpriced, considering that Lisnagar Oscar has beaten the likes of Paisley Park, who's 7-2. I think each way value there is definitely there to be seen. I think 10-1 is definitely value worth getting on behind. And providing this horse gets around safe and hasn't, let's just say, taken a negative impact for the fall in Cheltenham, it's going to be a very, very hard horse to stop, and guarantee you that. 4:15, the next best of the day, and this one here is going to be the favourite, and it's one of the only favourites I will be back in here now tomorrow, with Happy Go Lucky currently priced at 3-1 for Kim Bailey and David Bass. This one here, I think, is absolutely nailed on. When you look at the overall form, it was second to Vintage Clouds in Cheltenham there this year. And look at Vintage Clouds. It was a very, very impressive performance. Now, we can go in the ins and outs all we want. It was an impressive performance. It was a very big field. Happy Go Lucky was well fancied that particular day and still ran a very decent race. Now, there's a few, like, that race is very, very hot. I was really liking Sapage that day. Turning in, I thought I was going to be ripping up my docket, and somehow, somewhere out of the clouds, Sapage stayed on for fourth. But the form, like I said, the form in that particular race is hot as hell. You have many different, like, big pot handicap winners in that field, and very, very talented horses in their own right. Like, so some of them you would argue would be on their overall best form. Some of them would be touching on graded standard. But like, realistically, it's this horse's race to lose. Like, when you look at what the horse has beaten and what the horse has done overall, it's very hard not to like him. I think if this can go about keeping the progression going over the chasing fences, it's going to be a very, very hard horse to stop. Like, realistically, the form overall for the chasing ranks is 1-2-1-2. So if you're going to be statistically about it, it's this horse's race to lose. Is the field beatable? I think it is, very much so. I think overall it wouldn't need to improve much more to beat this field. I don't, looking down through it here now, not necessarily disgracing any one of them, but like, there's not really any in here that's coming up to the same sort of standard as Happy Go Lucky here. And I think it's a great overall bet. And I think at the current price he is now, 3-1, I think he's definitely some sort of value anyway, and he's definitely going to hold the next best of the day for me. 5:15, and this one here is the one you've all been waiting for, the Grand National, the big one. Now, I'm just going to put this out here now for people. I've potentially the worst record in the Grand National for a tipster or anything like that. Like, realistically, it is a lottery, and realistically, you could be backing horses any sort of way, any sort of reasoning behind it, and you could end up in the back of a winner. Look at the Irish National, 150-1 winner. Many people wrote him off. I was absolutely sickened because I actually tipped him up for the Kilbeggan, the Midland National in Kilbeggan that particular day, over 3 miles. But the one thing that turned me off in that day was the I suppose the fact that he seemed to be paddling a little bit, and whether the extra step up and trip was going to suit him or not, I didn't think it would. But I was definitely proven wrong, and I was definitely stung for it. But I've 3 free here tomorrow. 3, one of them anyway, has definitely serious form behind it, and I would be expecting it to go very, very close. One of them is a horse that I've been given in a sweepstake. I'm just saying it for namesake more so than anything else. If it ends up winning and you're not on behind it, I'd be absolutely raging. But look, it's a 50-1 shot. I don't know whether it's going to be any good or not. But look at sure, we live in hope anyway. And finally, then we're going to go mad with the last one at 100-1. But like I said, I've reasons behind them, and there's an interesting aspect for them, and I think you're all going to enjoy them. First one off though, my main selection for today, and one that I've been writing seriously about with my thoughts about his potential and his or her. I think it's actually a mare. Let's just see now. It is a mare. So her overall expectation and her overall form over this course and distance, and this one here has to be going to Magic of Light, currently priced at 20-1. Like, why is it 20-1? I don't know. Like, it was second in the last renewal of this, with only Tiger Roll in front of her, and she was the only horse in the race that was actually putting it up to him. Now, make of it what you will. I think this horse has serious potential over this sort of a trip. Now, she is getting on in life. She is a 10-year-old. But realistically, her best form over the past few years has come around Aintree over the Grand National fences. Now, if she can turn the form around, she's on a fairly nice mark. She's fairly well treated. She's coming in here off 10 stone 13 with Robbie Power on board for Jessica Harrington. The two of them go together like butter and toast, you could say. But I just think there's an awful lot of people writing her off, and wrongly to do so as well. She has been in a bit of bad form, and she has been, I suppose you could say, a little bit out of sorts recently. But she's coming in here with a fairly live chance. If she can turn the form around, she definitely handles the track, handles the course, will definitely handle the ground as well. And I think 20-1, ignore her at your peril, lads. Ignore her at your peril. Second horse of the national that I would be covering here. This one here is going to be my sweepstake of the day, and it's on a massive trip out to 50-1. Yalla Inky for Paul Nichols and Bryony Frost. Like I said, I'm not necessarily overconfident, but with the form that I've been in, the fact that it's a sweepstake horse for me. If I didn't tip this up for you, I'd be absolutely raging with myself. Just, I suppose, the fact of, the form of the Welsh national alone. Like, I know the Welsh and the big one are two separate things, but when you're looking at overall form over a fairly staying trip, I think this one here has a nice little each way chance. If staying on his feet and I suppose staying upright, it's a horse that likes to be, I suppose, sent off in the front. That's exactly where the winners have been coming from over the past few years anyway. Now at this stage, it's starting to go from, I suppose, a race that used to be a stay-in race, that the winner would usually come from off the pace and light up the field on the run in, to now at this stage where the winner usually comes from the first, you could say 10 or 12 at the very start of the race. So look, make of it what you will. I think 50-1, it's a little bit, let's just say, overpriced in my personal opinion. I think it could run a fairly decent race, and hopefully, for my sake anyway, for the sweepstake, it's going to run some sort of standard anyway. Finally then, And this one here is the hit and hope, the 100-1. I'm just going to try and find it here now. Where am I going? I'm gone too far there now. Manella's Celebration for Katie Price and Ben Post. Like I said, 100-1, but this one here likes these fences. He really, really likes these fences. He's 11-year-old. He's getting on in life now, but look, nothing's impossible in this day and age. Look, at when you're looking at horses over a national fence, you want a horse that's able to jump them. Jumping is the name of the game in this sort of race, and especially with the likes of, I think it's something like 38 or 39 fences. Not 100% sure, but you're going to have to be fairly decent at jumping a national fence anyway, and that's exactly what we're hoping for. Look, it's a hit and hope, but stranger things have happened at the end of the day. We picked out a 40-1 there over the same sort of fences, very close to getting a winner in that one. But I think you're hitting and hoping. But look, I've covered all, I suppose, aspects of the punters Grand National. I've covered the ones that have a great chance at a fairly decent price. I've covered ones that might like it a bit of an each way that has a fairly realistic chance. And I've one there that's just a hit and hope, and just we'll pray for everything to happen in our favour. But if one or two or three of those can place, I swear to God, I will scream and shout and roar the house down, because that is definitely the best call that I will ever make. 100%. Finally, then, the last race of the day, the 620. I'm really, really liking Emmett Mullins' charge here now. When Emmett Mullins sends a horse over to England, whether it's Cheltenham, whether it's Aintree, whether it's bloody Chepstow for all we care, Emmett Mullins is a man you have to take very, very, very seriously. Partner with Patrick Mullins, his cousin. The Gosper here coming in here at 11-4, in my opinion, is definitely the best price and the best chance of the race. Look, it was a bit of a drifter last time out in Wexford. The form of that race, learning every day. Awesome Scirocco, Paddy's Planet. Nothing really to shout and scream about. I know that Awesome Scirocco has been absolutely woeful for the past couple of times, and I think if this horse has to win, it's going to be a very, very big ask for him. But the one good thing about Emmett Mullins is he's the most shrewdest man in Ireland to place a horse. He could throw a cob. He could throw a cob in the National, and it might be priced up at 500-1, let's just say. And for all we know, the horse could end up winning it. It's just something. It's a talent a man has that you cannot overlook. I think the Gosper here is definitely ignore at your peril now at this stage, folks. I think if this horse can do any sort of real business here, the fact that it's coming over to England, look at, he could have went to Wexford there today, but look at, he's gone for Aintree, he's gone for the big one, and look at, hopefully with the help of God, it's going to be the one that. It's going to be the one that's going to be coming home in front, and hopefully at a price of 11-4 is definitely the best of the day. But look at, I'm going to leave it there. Please make sure to keep liking, sharing, and subscribing. If I've made any money there today, which I'm nearly sure I have now, you'd be fairly hard up if you're coming in here at a loss after following my tips there today with the way we've had the winners there in Aintree. Like, it's the stuff of dreams, but I would ask you all to just hit that subscribe button. It only takes a second of your time, but for those who wouldn't know me, like, I'm really, really striving to get to 1,000 subscribers by June. If I could get to 1,000 subscribers by my 24th birthday, I'd be absolutely happy out. But as well as that, I suppose I'm going to ask for those who are feeling a little bit more generous and that have been very happy with my service, just to consider the patron. Look, I know some people wouldn't be too happy with I suppose a premium tipping service, but I think from what you've seen there today, you could understand how I would be hoping to charge like at a premium rate. Now, what that gets you is a stake and plan. It gets you realistic winners at fairly big prices. Like I said there today, our new at 9-2. We don't go anything under even money. Just to make that perfectly clear. When we get winners, we are they're winners worth shouting about. Let's just say. As well as that, then we feel like the tipping service isn't enough, so we do give away monthly giveaways as well. I think overall, just off the top of my head, we've given €200 in a tipping competition for Cheltenham. We gave away a share in a horse for a year. We had the hacked up horse racing gifts, goodies bag, and we gave a few cash giveaways as well. So in terms of overall what we've given back to the members of Patreon, it's working out close enough to €400 since December, like the time that we set this Patreon up. It's there to fund the Irish Racing Hour podcast, which is a podcast dedicated to giving airtime to people in the Irish racing industry that wouldn't necessarily get it, but overall they definitely deserve it the most because it keeps us ticking over. They put life and limb on the line to get, I suppose, our passion to the stage that it is at the moment, which is definitely at the best of the world in my personal opinion anyway. I'll leave a link in the description below for those who want to sign up. It's €10 a month. It's the price of a couple of pints per month, like realistically for daily tips and for what we're offering, especially with the giveaways as well. We do class ourselves to be one of the best value premium services out there. Look, it's up to yourselves. No one has a gun to your head, but whatever bit of support you can give to us, it's greatly, greatly appreciated. Look, I'm going to leave it there. Very, very best of luck tomorrow if you're going to be getting on board. I've been Shane Rooney. Very, very best of luck tomorrow. And please make sure to keep liking, sharing, and subscribing.